Terence Crawford, Errol Spence is looking no mas. Reports have now come out stating that Terence Crawford, his rematch clause has officially expired and that he could move up and try to fight the winner of Tszyu and Keith. You better not duck me, thun. You better not. I'm coming. Keith one-time Thurman. I'm going to break down everything in this video, so you stay put, you stay tuned. We got to talk about it. So, reports came out that Terence Crawford is, first of all, promotionally free agent, meaning he was tethered to PBC for 2 fights, which were initially supposed to or thought to be Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. Now, they did fight once. I believe it was in July. And it was thought that Terence Crawford was going to rematch Errol Spence Jr. But things change, and things rapidly change in the world of boxing. For starters, Terence Crawford beat Errol Spence convincingly to become a 2x undisputed champion. So there's a lot of people who were under the belief a rematch didn't really need to take place. I mean, Crawford did a bang-up job, excellently dropping Errol Spence, and then everything was down. Like, really, after Errol Spence got dropped, I believe in the second round, everything was downhill after that. There was no really competitive moments after that. He looked out of it. Some would even say he looked out of it before the fight even started. But nonetheless, Crawford prevailed and beat Errol Spence Jr. and remained undefeated and became the 2x undisputed. So Errol Spence getting dropped 3 times, Errol Spence losing that fight, it made, to be honest, it made the second one a hard sell. Now, one of the only redeeming qualities about the rematch was that the rematch was at least hoped for from the Errol Spence angle to take place at 154 pounds. But Crawford's team came out and stated that they wanted the rematch at 147 with Errol Spence. Now Crawford is talking about moving up to 54. So there's a lot of moving parts. Again, I mean, there's a lot going on in boxing in general. I did a detailed video about Canelo Alvarez and his shenanigans. I will put a card at the end of this video, an end screen. Please check out that video about Canelo Alvarez. This is shameful stuff. I will continue to talk about these things in the world of boxing and keep you guys updated. If you love boxing, whether you're a longtime fan or just getting to learn the sport, my name is Ego. I've been covering this crazy sport for probably like 10 years. And at the end of the day, there's nothing like boxing. If you like boxing, subscribe right now. So the Canelo, a lot of news, a lot of like bullet points came out today. Canelo, he could be leaving PBC. And if he leaves, let's just say it's not going to look good because we know why he wouldn't leave. David Benavidez. Or why he wouldn't stay, I guess is the way to say it. So back to Terence Crawford. Regarding Terence Crawford, there's some people that believe that Crawford, now being a free agent, is leaving PBC. Now, the funny thing about boxing is the usual suspects and old media, it's like they rejoice or they get happy when they think it's negative news for PBC. If there's a negative, like whether it's Wilder losing to a top-ranked fighter, Tyson Fury, they rejoice. Errol Spence losing to, Crawford, who really wasn't a long career PBC fighter. That was his second fight outside the top rank. He came up in top ranks, program. But these moments is funny to see the usual suspects, many of them that don't make money on YouTube, but they've been covering boxing on YouTube. as long as me, for years. And it's just toxic people, negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers. And they use these moments like, oh, Canelo's leaving PBC. The report says that Canelo and PBC mutually decide to part ways. Nobody got sued or anything. So again, I don't want to get too caught up on Canelo in this video, but the reality is PBC wants Canelo to fight meaningful fights on their platform in order to pay him the amount of money he's looking for, 35, 40 million guaranteed. The way you get that type of money is fighting the fights like David Benavidez that people actually want to see and believe could be a challenge for Canelo, not fighting Jermall Charlo. But again, the usual suspects, they use these, like, I guess, as aha moments. And one of the funniest things about old media is they'll lie nonstop, lie. And they say a broke clock is right 2 times a day. They wait for these few opportunities where they lied and said it was 5:30, but it wasn't. It was 7:30. It was 9:45. It was 10:10. It was 11:11. It was 1:43. All these other times, but they kept telling you it was 5:30. And then when it finally turns 5:30 after so many hours, they say, oh, look, I'm the greatest. The reason why I tell you I'm the greatest is because I am. I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. The information that I give you is reliable. I told you that the Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight was not looking likely next, and I already made videos about that. You guys could check. That's my old stuff, so catch up. You got to do like Hines and catch up. Now it's looking like that is true. But again, the negative Nancy's, the Debbie Downers, they're looking at this as an opportunity. It's not even about what's right for boxing, like Canelo leaving. Is that a good move? Do you want to see the Munguia, Berlanga, or DAZN options for Canelo more than David Benavidez? It's not about that at all. What it becomes about, aha, we want to see PBC suffer, or there's some bad news, so I can't wait to talk about it. But that's, to me, that's not really a boxing fan. You should want whatever grows the sport of boxing. Now, regarding Terence Crawford, even in lieu of Errol Spence fight likely not being next, many people are going to be happy with that. Many people are going to be glad that the fight is not next, because at the end of the day, Terence Crawford already did his thing with Errol Spence, and Errol Spence has, since his accident, he suffered back-to-back injuries, a detached retina, forcing him to pull out of the Manny Pacquiao fight. He also, came back, beat Ugas, got his mouthpiece knocked out in that fight, because of his mouthpiece, because he had dental work, so his mouthpiece wasn't form-fitting, and it wasn't a tight fit. Got that knocked out. Then he fought Crawford, and he got knocked out by Crawford and dropped 3 times. So for a variety of reasons, I don't really feel the Errol Spence fight was in heavy demand, because a few months ago, Errol Spence also came out and stated that he could barely see during the Crawford fight. He said, I was getting hit with jabs and hooks. Why do you think I was getting hit with so much stuff? Because I had cataracts. So that, combined with like the stuff we already knew about, how the first fight looked, Errol's other injuries, him coming back off of cataract surgery, I just don't feel like that was going to be a good sell, to try to convince people to get the pay-per-view to a fight that they seen that was non-competitive the first time, and then you're going to run it back and expect people to pay for it. The only good thing, I guess you could say, is if the fight took place in a new division, but it was still always going to be an uphill battle for Errol Spence, just solely based on how the first fight played out. Crawford would have the psychological advantage, knowing he could beat Errol Spence, because he beat Errol Spence, and he's the guy with the unified belts. And the advantage I guess Errol would have would be the new weight, but it doesn't change the fact of vision issues and cataracts and stuff like that and coming back. So I don't know. I don't feel the type of way now that the fight looks like it's pretty much officially falling apart. Now, the WBO has confirmed that since Terence Crawford is the super champion at 147 pounds, he can move up to 54 and petition straight away to fight the winner of Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. And I think Crawford is looking for big fights, or what he believes to be a big fight, and then he's probably going to retire. He's already dismissed the notion of fighting Jaron Boots Ennis, which to me sounds crazy, because I would like to see Crawford active, and that fight makes a lot of sense for me, especially with Tszyu and Keith Thurman fighting late March. You're just going to sit there, do nothing, and wait till March 30th, wait till you get an outcome. Then them guys have to rest, so you're just going to fight one time a year at the back half of the year like Crawford has been fighting. Kell Brook, one fight a year. When he fought David Avocado one time a year. Sean Porter one time a year. Last year he fought Errol Spence. That was his only fight in the summertime for the year. So I really don't like it. I think Crawford's early career, like with Top Rank and stuff, he wasn't getting the marquee names. So for me, I think Terence Crawford should be using this free agency and, this newfound potential partnership, being able to get Errol Spence and then other PBC fighters and make the most of it and close out his career. In retrospect, just to give you guys an example of what I mean, I think a lot of credit is owed to Manny Pacquiao, and I'm going to explain. Manny Pacquiao, similar to Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao was with Top Rank for the bulk of his career, early career, right? But Manny Pacquiao went out like a G. Manny Pacquiao, first of all, he's done more than Terence Crawford. I don't know anyone that could really dispute that. Yeah, you could argue that Crawford has some milestones like undisputed and things like that Pacquiao never did, but the totality of one's career in the history books, Pacquiao's an 8-division champion. That's something Crawford's never done. Crawford's been in far fewer divisions. He hasn't even went up as many divisions as guys like Miguel Cotto and Canelo, and definitely Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya. So yeah, whereas Crawford has some accolades that others don't have, like the 2X undisputed, there are other things like moving up in weight and the sheer volume and quality of resume names. Crawford don't have it, comparatively speaking, to Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, and Manny Pacquiao. I believe, it's just, that's the reality of it. You guys can argue with your mama. That's just what it is. So I would personally like to see Crawford do the Pacquiao approach and just go out, your last 3 fights, fight a couple more times and go out like Pacquiao. Again, a lot of credit is owed to Manny Pacquiao because he had an illustrious career. He lost to Jeff Horn, but he really won, and they robbed him in Australia. And then he signed with PBC and Al Heyman, and he was still fighting the Keith Thurmans. He signed up to fight Errol Spence. The fight didn't happen, but it wasn't Manny Pacquiao's fault. Errol Spence, it wasn't Errol's fault either. It was just he had an eye injury. But the reality is he signed up for the work, and he signed up going to fight, ready to fight Errol Spence. When that fight fell apart for obvious reasons, Errol Spence's eye, then he took on the next available, which was your Dennis Ugas, who I thought beat Sean Porter and really should have been a champion. And he was a secondary champion. So as you see, Pacquiao's fighting Broner, signed up to fight Errol, fight Ugas, and that's how he went out. And of course, Keith Thurman, he beat him. So I would like to see something similar to Crawford. I'm not opposed to Tszyu, Keith Thurman winner fighting Crawford, but I'm opposed to Crawford, who's had a rough start in terms of welterweight, specifically welterweight resume names, sitting on the sidelines waiting for that fight when Jaron Boots Ennis is a great option. He's having difficulty getting people to fight him. It's a great fight. I would pay for it. It's a fight you can bank, but everything I've seen from Crawford and his team, they're saying all the opposite and all the reasons why a Jaron Ennis fight makes no sense versus Pacquiao, he didn't really care. You know, he fought Broner, he fought Keith Thurman, he was down to fight Errol, and then he did fight Ugas. That's a crazy run considering this was after Top Rank. That's Pacquiao's post Top Rank run, and we'll see what Crawford decides to do. A lot of people are rejoicing, like thinking Crawford's leaving PBC, but he didn't say that. He didn't say and of course, if he's petitioning to fight Tszyu and Keith Thurman winner, then what network do you think that's going to happen on? So again, I see the haters and the usual suspects. They're rejoicing like we got the news that Canelo is leaving PBC and Crawford's leaving PBC, but no one really said that. No one said that Crawford is leaving, especially if he intends to fight Tszyu Thurman winner. What network do you think that's going to be on if that fight were to happen? So that's what it is. Terence Crawford could move up in his next fight, and he would immediately have dibs on Tszyu and Thurman, which, again, I told you I want to see Tszyu Crawford or Boots. I think those fights make sense. I know he's calling out Canelo Alvarez, but if Canelo, the reports are true and he's leaving PBC, I don't think Canelo's a viable option. I don't think so at all. Canelo, they're talking about him moving up to fight Berlanga or Jaime Munguia, which to me are not the fights to make. And funny enough, I haven't been a fan on the channel of Crawford moving up 21 pounds to fight Canelo. But if Canelo is going to duck David Benavidez and leave PBC and fight Edgar Berlanga, then if that's my options, I would have rather chosen Crawford to get an opportunity versus Canelo. I'm more intrigued with that fight than Canelo versus Berlanga, who just fought some Irishman. So I'm not even a big fan of the weight class jumping. But again, Crawford at least has more of a name, and he's coming off a great win versus Errol Spence. So that fight would be bigger and more believable because Crawford, people don't doubt that he can fight. Edgar Berlanga, there's so many questions about how good Edgar Berlanga even is at any level of elite level. There's no real question if Crawford's elite. So it's just crazy times in boxing right now. We'll see what Crawford's next move is. Drop your thoughts in the comment section and let me know what you guys think. That's a bit of what I think. We'll see what Crawford decides to do. Interesting times. I don't really see, like, what is he going to sign to DAZN? What is he going to fight in Saudi Arabia? We're going to sign to Golden Boy? I mean, I don't know. To me, none of that really makes sense. I think he should stick with PBC, and those are probably the more attractive options. You guys let me know what you think, though, in the comment section, and check out that Canelo video about Canelo potentially leaving PBC.